SDF says, hi everyone, we would like to gather some additional player data prior to the large upcoming balance changes that are planned in the next update. One of the things we're looking at analyzing is player participation rate based on the risk reward of the High Roller Dungeon. In order to test this, we'll update the entrance cost and total player numbers for High Roller Dungeon with the following changes. Goblin Cave's High Roller is a 100 gold entrance fee and 6 players per match. That's down from 9. So they reduced the number of players by 33%. The Howling Crypt High Roller, 150 gold entrance and 12 players per match, down from 18. So this is 3 less players, and this is 6 less players, because this is 18. So we had several other changes in the works to improve risk reward balance on the upcoming updates. The next large update, known as EA Patch 1, is scheduled to be released this Friday. See, told you I wasn't lying. We will hold a live Q&A soon to elucidate our thoughts. Elucidate, good word, SDF. Our thoughts and upcoming plans. Thank you for your patience while we learn and build a better game for you. Yeah, so we'll be doing the live Q&A with them soon. I don't have a date for it yet, but soon. I don't know exactly when they're thinking, but I'm assuming it will be after the large patch, maybe next week, maybe the week after. We'll see what happens. Insofar as thoughts, interesting. One is 6 players per match on Goblin High Roller means there will be more loot available for people that are good at clearing the dungeon, and less competition. Also means it's likely that, like, if you're farming troll, you might be able to get troll a bit more often than you were, because you got 3 less people competing for it. It also means there's 5 exit portals, which means that not everybody has to die. Only one person really has to go in order to be able to leave, right? Everybody technically. So actually there's 5 portals. There's 5 portals and a static exit. So no one has to die on Goblin. And then 12 players per match on High Roller Crypts. If you were able to find all the portals, there's what, 3? Are there 3 sets of down portals on Crypt High Roller? I think there's 9 reds. So there's 9 reds, and there's at least 3 blues. So again, no one would have to die on Crypts either in order to get out of the dungeon or progress into Inferno, at least on that level. If you want to get out, that's a different story. Like, all the blues that people are taking, that's a little different. But yeah, that's drastically increasing people's likelihood of survival, which also means that they're going to retain, there's going to be a lot more retained gear. But in my experience, like, people go to High Roller because they're trying to, like, murder each other and get the juice off of, like, fat boys. So I don't know how it's going to go, if I'm being honest. What it will do is it will dissuade a lot more of the nakeds, unless somebody figures like they're a god gamer. It's going to dissuade a lot of people from going in more than what it used to. So there's going to be more people with gear running on those maps, but there's going to be less PvP, which will probably piss off the PvP guys. Because what the PvP guys want, is to see, like, stacked lobbies with guys with gear all the time, right? Like, that's what they want to see. They want to see juicers. So I don't know how it's going to go. I think this creates more loot for people, but it also makes it more PvE than what it used to be. So we'll see how people take it. I could see heavy opinion both ways with this. It's a good experiment. We'll see what happens, dude. Rogues are gonna go anyway. Biggest problem is now even less people in HR. The lobbies were already dead. Yeah, so I think this is like the first step. What they're trying to see, I think, is like gear quality of people that go in, how popular it is for people that have gear versus those that don't, and whether or not they see that the lobbies end up having 6 people or 12 people in them, as opposed to what they were doing before. And I think that they're going to start tweaking, like, drop rates and stuff. And so far as, like, rogues being present and all that stuff, yeah, like good accomplished rogues that know how to use their stealth well will obviously be involved in all of that, and naked run and all this other stuff, because they were doing it before. Even on a 50 gold buy-in, they were doing it before, and they were making money. So on a 100 gold buy-in, they'll probably still make money if they're good at avoidance, and grabbing loot and staying away from mobs and not having to engage them, because you can make money just from finding found stuff on the ground. I think it's more along the lines of, are those people going to be a threat to you if you run in with gear? You won't see nearly as many vultures, I don't think, and it will deter people that were maybe, like, kind of getting a little bit past break even on the 50 gold buy-in. Over time, it might dissuade them from going in at all on that, and they just start running, like, nakeds on normals or something. And I think you're going to see a lot of people with gear going into normals now too, versus when they were going into High Roller, because another 50 gold on top is probably going to be like, oh, it's not really worth it if I lose this kit, blah, 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 right? The hyper chads are still going to go. HR lobbies were 50% filled most of the time anyways, no big change. Still +3 attribute geared items still floating around HR, not really worth the risk still with the player hunters. Oh, those are definitely there. I think the real test for something like this will come in when we see the game hit a reset point, right? Like when they actually give like a wipe on all the gear and they send everybody back to level 1, and there's no more +3. I think that's when you'll start seeing like real change, and they'd get some better data. Chads are already farming in normals. Concerned about all the Chads farming us in norms, yeah. So that'll be the thing. Obviously, it's going to create a shift. There's going to be a lot more of the Chad style players running around in normals. I can see I'll say this. I can see the merit to the idea, right? Like you can see what they're trying to do. I don't know if it's going to work though. The issue that they have is that there aren't enough people running high roller because of the gear disparity issue, right? Like there's like this chasm of difference between guys that have a ton of stuff and like really good like pre-nerf like +3 stats and like pre-nerf daggers, pre-nerf bows that have like all this extra damage because they weren't ever roped in. And then you have everybody else that has substandard gear comparatively, and when you're going up against guys that are really statted out versus guys that aren't, the difference is pretty clear. Plus, like, you know, the guys that have a ton of stat gear tend to be the guys that are good at the game, right? So I don't want to take their skill or ability away from them, but all things being equal, if you have guys that have equal skill and then you got a dude that's got another 50 or 75 points worth of health because they've got a lot of +3 stat gear, it kind of changes the dynamic a bit, right? An extra hit or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on what you're getting hit by, is pretty substantial in difference. And I think what they're trying, like I said, what they're trying to do is make it so that people can get more out of the dungeon runs that they're making, as opposed to running across like, you know, hyper sweat squads constantly and then just getting steamrolled in high roller. Or you run up against a ton of nakeds that are making a profit on the 50 gold buy-in. But I don't know if this is the answer though. But I think it's a good thing to test. I mean, what the hell? Why not?